Although our skies are filled with quadricopter drones, fixed-wing aircraft have them beaten both speed and endurance. And that's why military drones don't look like the ones that you can buy off of Amazon. One of the biggest drawbacks with fixed-wing planes, however, is that they tend to require a long runway for landing. But drone makers are searching for a better way, and it turns out nature solved the problem millions of years ago. Birds don't need runways. They can land on a dime by swooping in at low altitudes, then angling their wings upwards and spreading their feathers to act as a sort of air brake. It's a maneuver called a deep stall, and you've likely seen it before. A team of researchers from British company BMT Defence Services and the University of Bristol want to mimic this ability with a new morphing wing. The wing can sweep forwards and backwards to create a pitching movement, says Anthony Waldock, Principal Systems Analyst at BMT Defence. And the tips of the wings can twist, which allows the aircraft to roll. These two types of motions were directly inspired by bird wings and provide far more maneuverability than usual fixed wings. The morphing wing enables high maneuverability while remaining power efficient. This could allow a UAV to fly in cluttered environments. Future drones may sweep through urban canyons, dodging lampposts, power lines, and each other as easily as birds do today. But wings are only part of the equation. A bird's deep stall is a complicated process in which very slight changes in speed, wind, angle, and position of the wings produced extremely different results. One slip can mean a crash. It's a calculation far too complicated for even the most experienced drone pilots. This artificial bird needed an artificial brain, so the team turned to Q-learning, a technique where an artificial intelligence learns by raising its Q, or satisfaction level. Using this system, one AI recently mastered old Atari video games without any human interaction. Through innumerable failures and errors, the AI figured out how to maximize Q and hit high scores on every single game. BMT used a similar game concept, giving the machine the end goal of arriving at a landing spot. The drone's score increased as its speed at the landing spot declined, but making slight adjustments to the controls, the AI steadily improved its score. Waldock says the AI gradually worked out how to get from any given starting point to arrive at the desired landing place with minimal horizontal and vertical speed. A more advanced version of this perching drone could go anywhere with limited landing space, whether dousing fires, fighting a war, or just delivering a package. It could one day land on your windowsill as easily and frequently as a pigeon. Voice recognition is making it easier to control your smart home using products like the Amazon Echo. But why talk when you can whistle? YouTube tinkerer Alan Pan customized his home automation system to respond to the melodies from the N64 classic, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Each command is performed on an actual ocarina and fits thematically with the item it controls. Play the Bolero of Fire melody, for example, and the heating comes on. Play Epana's song, and it unlocks the car. It's completely ingenious and, of course, completely insecure. Not that anyone is suggesting otherwise. We've already seen how the lack of verification with voice-controlled systems can lead to trouble, like when kids start ordering things from Amazon's Echo. So if you're thinking of switching from Alexa to Zelda to control your smart home, well, maybe think again. Or come up with some fiendishly complicated melodies to use instead. Researchers at ETH Zurich and IBM Research Zurich have built a tiny redox flow battery. This means that future computer chip stacks in which individual chips are stacked like pancakes to save space and energy could be supplied with electrical power and cooled at the same time by such integrated flow batteries. In a flow battery, an electrochemical reaction is used to produce electricity out of two liquid electrolytes. They're pumped to the battery from cells that live outside via a closed electrolyte loop. The chips are effectively operated with a liquid fuel and produce their own electricity, says the professor of thermodynamics at ETH Zurich. The battery built by the scientists is only around 1.5 millimeters thick. The idea would be to assemble chip stacks layer by layer, a computer chip, then a thin battery microcell that supplies the chip with electricity and cools it, followed by another computer chip, and so on. The output of the new micro battery also reaches a record high in terms of its size, 1.4 watts per square centimeter of battery surface. The electrolyte liquids are actually able to cool a chip. They're even able to dissipate heat amounts many times over what the battery generates as electrical energy. The scientists have now provided an initial proof of concept for the construction of small flow batteries. Although the power density of the new microflow battery is very high, well, the electricity produced is still not entirely sufficient to operate a computer chip. In order for the flow battery to be used in an actual chip stack, it must be further optimized by industry partners, which you know they're going to work on it. As the scientist points out, the new approach is also interesting for other applications in lasers, for example, which have to be supplied with energy and cooled at the same time. Well, it might be useful. Or for solar cells, where the electricity produced could be stored directly in the battery cell and used later when needed. The system could also keep the operating temperature of the solar cell at the ideal level. A great meal in Tokyo can be a vexing proposition. It's not that there's nothing to choose from, quite the opposite in fact. Their choices are rather overwhelming. Perhaps there's an easier way. Volvo and Uber Eats are teaming up to create something called the All-Star Restaurant, a rolling buffet of the best the city has to offer. It launched March 14. Here's how it works. You traverse the city in a Volvo XC90 Excellence. That's the largest and most richly appointed sports utility vehicle that the automaker offers. At each stop, you and your guest are treated to a curated menu from the city's wide range of restaurants selected by Iron Chef Yukio Hattori. It includes salads, soups, fish, steaks, dessert, and more. The courses are brought out to the XC90 and served to you. Then you get to soak in the night as you roll around Japan's capital city. The couple in the video seem to enjoy it. There's even champagne in the center console. And this is Japan, so who knows what else you might be able to get delivered to your car. The options are really endless.